everyone, Irit here with a new video, and I'm starting a new series on my channel, and today I'm going to share with you my favorite products from Dina Wakley. I'm going to try to narrow it down to 5, and I'll also mention a couple that just didn't work for me. Now, these recommendations are based on my personal experience. I'm going to try to be specific and not say something like stamps, paints, stencils, because that's pretty much everything. So I'll just give you the ones that I've been really loving and really enjoying. I love Dina Wakley's style and color choices and just art journaling philosophy. She also has great books. She has 2 art journaling books that are really fantastic, especially if you're a beginner. There are a lot of design principles and a lot of techniques, so I highly recommend those. I won't mention them in today's video, but I do recommend them. I will put links to everything I talk about in the video down below. And please subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell. If you want to see my videos, that's the best way, because YouTube is doing all kinds of things to make life more interesting and difficult. So, I hope you're excited with this new concept. I hope to do in the future also a Dilutions video, maybe a Jane Davenport one. So leave me a comment and tell me what you want to see. Also tell me which are your favorite Dina Wakley products. And let's get started. So I'll start with something easy, and that is a paint. So if you're not familiar, the Dina Wakley paints, Dina Wakley is one of the Ranger designers, and I think the paints were one of the first things she came out with after stamps and stencils and that sort of thing. And her paints are heavy body, but they also flow really nicely. Some are transparent, some are more opaque. They're very fun to work with. These days, I work more with watercolors and water-soluble media, so I use less paint, but I really like her paint. And what I also like is that I consider Ranger, it's more geared towards crafters as opposed to artists, even though I think crafters are also artists, but you know what I mean. And when you have brands like Golden or Liquitex, which have fantastic paint, I own a lot of their paints, it's fantastic, there's no discussion about that. But the color choices are so wide, there's so much to choose from, and a lot of the colors are what I would say kind of industry, you know, standard. So you'll have all the primaries and then other colors which you can pretty much find in every color line. What I like about the Dina Wakley, and same goes for Dilutions and also the Distress range, even though that has a lot of colors now, is that they're really curated, and they're kind of special paints. Some you can find similar in other companies, but a lot of them are quite unique, and maybe they're not as versatile as just getting the primaries and mixing your own paints. But if you know, you just want to buy a bunch of pretty colors that work well together, and then, you know, you can watch that artist's videos or buy the Dina Wakley book or something, I think that makes life a lot easier for crafters or beginners. So I really like the Dina Wakley paint. I think it's good value. The tubes are being discontinued, and now all the paints will come in this in these small squeezy tubes, which I'm okay with. I just, you know, if you use a lot of paint, it's a little bit wasteful to have all this extra packaging, but this has double the amount of this, but these are also cheaper. So yeah, what can you do? These are selling better than these, so that's how the market works. But I don't want to talk about the paint in general, even though I just did. But I want to talk just about like one color that I really like. I think the whole range is beautiful. She has beautiful bright colors, some lovely neutrals. I do like her choice of neutrals. And she also came out with some new paints this year. But so my favorite is turquoise, and that's how the tube looks. And I have here a little swatch. I just think the shade, she got the shade like really nice. So this is the Dina Wakley one. You can see I have here a couple of other turquoise, teal colors. And it's just for me like the perfect, a bit minty turquoise. It's really pretty. What can I say? I really like it. Moving on. Next, I want to show you one of my favorite stencils. So I'm just picking up the journal so you can see the stencil. I think it shows a bit better on the dark background. So all of her stencils are great. I mean, the quality is great, but I particularly like this one. It's called Mini Favorites. And what I like about it, I feel it's really great value. You get 3 patterns and they're really different. So I think they complement each other and you can mix them, like use all of these patterns on the same layout. And I think it works really, really well. Sometimes I use them all. Sometimes I use some of them. I use this a lot in my journals and it's just my favorite stencil at the moment. And I think, yeah, getting 3 different patterns is a really great way of getting the most out of your supply. So if you're on a tight budget, look for these types of stencils. Illusions also have sort of variations on these, meaning like at least 2 patterns in one stencil. So I like this one. My next one is, okay, I think we're going in the order of like 5 to 1, and 1 is my most favorite, but so we're going there. So number 3 is this stamp set, which is called Homage to Frida. So of course, Frida Kahlo, the Mexican artist. Sorry if I butchered her name. If you're not familiar, I really like this set. Dina Wakley has a few sets with sketchy faces, which I wish I could get them all. I always have problems with stamp sets because they are expensive, and I understand why they are. They are such an investment. But then on the other hand, you know, I feel like I'm not going to use the same image over and over again in my journal. So I kind of always hesitate if I should buy stamp sets, especially ones with something like an image, which I feel is, you know, it's not just a pattern that I can use again and again in the background. I feel like an image is something you would put as a focal point. So yeah, I always hesitate, but I did really fall in love with this one and I have used it several times. I like the mixture of images. So you have the 2 ladies here and then these flowers, I really like them, and the heart, and then a couple of sayings. So I feel like it's a versatile set and you get good, you know, you get a good value out of it. I really like the images. They're really, really lovely. Great sketches, really fun to like watercolor in them. That's what I've been doing. Number 2, the Scribble Sticks. So my top 2 products were not like love at first sight, but the more I used them, the more I fell in love with them. And I guess it's a lesson. It's a lesson that we can all learn. I mean, first of all, when you buy something, you should at first, you know, make an effort to use it so you really know what this can do. So these, the Scribble Sticks Dina Wakley has 2 sets of these. These are water-soluble pigments. It's what she calls them. They're basically like a hard pastel, a hard water-soluble pastel. So they are not like the gelatos that are like very, very creamy. They are hard, but they dissolve in water, or they get activated. The pigment activates in water really beautifully and really fast. I prefer to use these than something so soft like the gelatos. I have similar products to the gelatos and they just get too messy. So I really enjoy these. And at first when I got this set, this is the first one, I compared it to my Neocolor 2 Caran d'Ache pastels, which are almost the same product in the way, you know, that it performs and looks and the way you use it. And I didn't really see a difference. However, after I got the second set, and I'll show you the colors, for some reason, you know, I think the first set has more of like my colors, but I've been using the second one. So this is the first one. And then this is the second one, which is not arranged by rainbow, which is very, very wrong. But yeah, after I got the second one, which I hesitated if I should get it because, as I said, it wasn't love at first sight, I started using these in a different way than I usually did. So usually I would like scribble something and then take a brush with water and then activate it. But the way I started using these was I took the crayon or the pastel or whatever you want to call it and dipped it in water, and then I scribbled with it. And that technique with the Scribble Sticks works a lot better than the same technique with the Neocolor 2. It just, the pigment here releases, it's so intense, it releases so easily, and that's my favorite way of using these. You can see me using these on my art journaling videos here on YouTube and on Patreon, and I love these. I use these all the time. I prefer to use them on gesso or paint because they just flow better. If you use them on like regular paper without gesso, if you use them on watercolor paper, then you can have some wiggle room. If you use them in the Dina Wakley journal, which will, spoiler, is what's coming next. Yeah, the paper there is a little bit tricky. And so I recommend, you know, if you like flowy pigment, and yeah, use it on gesso. I love these. These are fantastic. I think the colors are beautiful. They coordinate with the paints. Highly, highly recommend these. You know, pick one package. As I said, like if someone showed me the 2 packages before I had them, I would say, you know, the first set is definitely my colors, but I love them both and I use actually the second set more. So I don't know what to tell you. Look at the colors and then decide. I will link a video where I show all the colors in the second set and you can see what you think. So that brings us to number 1, the journal. Again, this wasn't love at first sight. I got this journal, you know, because Dina Wakley is one of those people that I see her demoing something on Creativation and then I think, that is gorgeous, I have to have it. And she's just one of those master demonstrator like Tim Holtz and Diane Reevely. You just, you know, they're so good. You just want whatever they're showing and loving and using. You're like, that must be some good stuff. I want that stuff. So when she came out with her journal, I got it. And this journal, this is a smaller size. She since came out with a larger size, which I have and only started playing with. I have to say I prefer for now the small size. I really, really like this size. So I think it's a 8x10 journal. It has this really nice, sturdy, kind of matte finish cover, which of course you can customize, but I haven't been that brave. And then inside it has 4 types of media. So it has this mixed media paper, which is, I think it's handmade and it's cotton, if I'm not mistaken. And it's lovely. But, you know, if you like to use watercolors like I do, it needs a little bit getting used to. It's very, very absorbent. I think Dina Wakley mostly gessos her papers, and you can gesso this, but you don't have to. I mean, these, like, this is with watercolors. This also, it's not gessoed, and you just need to get a feel a bit for this paper. But yeah, it's not proper watercolor paper in the way that watercolor paper performs. You don't have that flexibility of like blending colors, and yeah, you just have to learn how to work with it. So that's one surface in this journal. Then you have this type of burlap, which I have to say I'm not a fan of. Then you also have canvas, which I really like. It's like this kind of cream colored thin canvas. I like it. And then there is also the craft paper, which I'm tolerating. I kind of learned to accept its existence in this journal, and I've been playing with it. Wait, I mean, it's just craft paper, but okay. So I kind of ripped this, but you know, it's craft paper. Mostly in my second journal, which I'll show you in a second, I kind of covered it, or covered most of it with white. So I really, as I said at the beginning, I didn't really know what to do with this journal. I didn't like the burlap. I wasn't sure about the craft, but then I got into it, and what can I say? I fell in love with it. So this is the first one I finished. I have a video on my channel showing you this one. And then this is my current one, which is looking really battered, but I mean, look at that. It's getting even chunkier than the other one. And I just love it. So I have a few more pages to finish, and then I'll show you, I'll do a flip through on my channel, I promise. I'm kind of a bit anxious that I don't have a new one once I finish this one. I'll probably order at some point. I just wanted also to use a few of my other ones. So yeah, and I should probably work in my larger one. But I think this journal is fantastic. If you like mixed media, if you want to try different surfaces, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun to work in. It has a good size, sturdy build, and yeah, it's just fantastic. Okay, that's it with the favorites. Now, a couple of things I want to mention that just didn't work for me. I think one is a bit of product problem, and then the other one is just because of my style. So a while back, they came out with these fine line applicators and that fit the paint. So this is how it looks. And it has this tip. And you could buy these like separately and then just, you know, unscrew the original cap that came with this, which was just like a flip top, and add these. And I was super excited because I thought it would be great to be able to like scribble and draw with these, but I found it very, very difficult to operate. I don't think it's my issue because I have several of these on several paints. I think the Dina Wakley paint is just a little bit too thick to work with the fine tip applicator. I had to press really hard, and that made controlling the lines very difficult. So I regret to say that I didn't like this product. And the second thing that didn't really work for me, but I don't think it's a product issue, I think it's just the way that I paint an art journal. It just wasn't a right fit for me. Probably an example on, you know, seeing Dina use stuff and then buying them, even though it doesn't actually fit what I do. So these come in a set, and they are these rubber applicators. And these are good, you know, for, I think they work well if you work in like thicker layers of paint. And I think these will work really great on the jelly plate, which I do have, so I could probably get some good use there. But in my regular art journaling, I don't use a lot of acrylic paint. When I do, I try to make it as thin as possible so I don't have to wait for it to dry, because I hate waiting for paint to dry. And yeah, so these are great, you know, to make, I think there's a name, like graffito or something. There's a name for this technique in Italian, of course, because they have words for everything beautiful in art and life. But, you know, you can really etch into your paint or whatever, even gesso, stuff like that with these. And yeah, so it's just not something that I found very useful, because I like to use watercolors and I like very flowy, thin layers of transparent color. That's just my thing. But yeah, so these didn't really work for me, but I think they're cute and I should probably try and use them and see what happens. So thank you so much for watching. That's it for this video. Again, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and give me more ideas and tell me which products of Dina Wakley are your favorites. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.